a lot of celebrating going on in baseball over the weekend. The Braves, the Dodgers, and the Orioles all celebrated playoff appearances. The Guardians celebrated 10 years for Kole Calhoun and Jose Ramirez's birthday. But at least they had a reason to celebrate with a big weekend and got to stick it to Texas for kind of ruining their season back in July. More on that in Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show today. Sweep of the year, second sweep of the year. Happy birthday to Jose Ramirez and my daughter. I told her that he hit that home run for her. I don't know if she's 6, so she believed it. But she was very excited to hear they shared a birthday. I go, the Guardians' best player, and you have the same birthday. So now she's automatically a fan. But I also have to now take a moment and say thank you to Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks, and you could win 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use the promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get a $100 match in your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently in operation in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. And one more thing before you dive in. I guess it was actually really fun to go through the YouTube comments and see Andrew Zajac was one of the people who commented. Andrew is the first person I ever did a podcast with. So shout out to Andrew as an everydayer. He and I did a podcast back when I lived in New York City. Golly, over a decade ago now, probably. So
former WFNY guy, right?
No, this was back at IBI, IPI at the day. So this is back when we were on Blog Talk Radio. Now eventually I moved on to Smoke Signals with Tony Lastoria.
Also his birthday today, by the way.
Really? I did not realize that.
His birthday today, yeah.
But when Jim Pete moved on, I moved into Jim's role, and Andrew, it looks like he's very successful working at Youngstown State, but it's kind of a fun trip down memory lane, seeing him pop up in there. Like I said, probably a decade ago. I remember saying that we did all things draft. I remember saying they're being so excited when they drafted on our show Sergei Karasev on draft night with the Cavs at one point in time. That's how long ago.
It worked out great, didn't it?
And there's a reason why I stick to the baseball drafts now.
Yeah. I don't, there's a reason I don't do any other sport now, truthfully. I watch hockey for fun in Ohio State to drive myself crazy, but yeah, fun weekend though. Yeah, you're right. Your daughter's birthday, Jose's birthday. It was if you're doing Sleeper next year on September 17th, bet on Jose Ramirez did a home run. Jose Ramirez now has 4 home runs on his birthday in his career. It's the most by any Cleveland player. So next year, put it in your phone to bet on Jose Ramirez did a home run on his birthday. You'll win some money. Apparently that's the way it goes. Fun weekend. I think first of all, ironic because if you go back to the first series out of the All-Star break and the Guardians bullpen kind of regurgitated itself, that's when the problem started. And the Rangers swept that series because the bullpen couldn't hold a lead. That was kind of where it ended. The season sort of started taking, I don't want to say the wrong turn because the season's not taking a right turn for the most part. But if you want to point to a series where things just started to fall apart or come off the rails, it was that Rangers series. They lost. So they went into the All-Star break a half game up on the Twins, and they were 500, right? They were 45-45. And they got swept in that series. They've been over 500 once since then, and they have not been in first place since, and they won't be in first place again. So the Rangers probably still will make the playoffs more than likely, but what the Guardians did to them this weekend probably gives them a lot more problems. And I can't imagine Rangers fans right now are feeling super good about their chances in the playoffs. They don't have Max Scherzer anyway, so it probably doesn't really matter for them. But the offense was so good Friday and the offense was so good Sunday that it kind of overshadowed how good the starting pitching was. I mean, Lucas Giolito struck out 12 guys.
It's 2 strong starts in a row.
Yeah, he was trending in the right direction in the Anaheim start. I mean, he gave 4 solo homers. I'll take that.
But I still think it was 4 bad pitches in the rest of that start, in my opinion.
Yes, there was nowhere to go but up after his first start. So he's had 1 giant flaming disaster of a start. He's had a solid start, and he's had a really good start. So more good than bad for Giolito since he's been here. Unfortunately, that first start is kind of like what kind of deflated the Guardians' season as a whole. Like that was. They had their chances were so slim at that point anyway. Yeah.
as you pointed out, and people get so happy about me interrupting you. The season was honestly done before then. Like, yeah, that was kind of maybe the nail
last ditch
in the coffin. But like this team, and I would even argue personally, I would go back further than that. It's when they couldn't take care of business against Detroit, when Detroit was beat all to heck right before that Kansas City series. Like, they should have entered the All-Star break not up half a game. They should have been up multiple games. And I mean, Detroit was really kind of a kryptonite this year. And then
last 2 years.
Yeah. And then, even more so, it's like this whole season this was the second sweep. They could not consistently get anything together because either the hitting didn't show up, the bullpen didn't show up. We probably won't have time today, but Eli Morgan and Nick Sandlin are really trending in the wrong direction for this team right now. And we'll have to see where it goes. But Clase, as we were talking about those all-time record stuff, he's now 42 away from Cody Allen with the extra save this weekend. But overall, I mean, you had to enjoy this weekend if you're a listener, right? Like, they took 3 games. The starting pitching was fantastic.
From a good team.
The offense exploded, one of their best series of the year. The bullpen had a few leaky bits, but it wasn't the crucial guys, at least off the top of my head. But yeah,
the bullpen was great when it needed to be. Saturday when Tanner came out early, we'll talk about that. But I mean, the pitching was great all weekend. You had Lucas pitched incredible Friday, so the fact they scored a ton of runs Friday night, it was a beat down, 12-3. That overshadows how good he was a little bit. Obviously, the bullpen didn't matter at that point. And then Saturday, when Tanner was cruising as well, obviously came out of the game. The bullpen came in. Sam Henches, that's one guy you feel really good about going into next season. He had a rough start to the year with that injury, but his ERA is now down below 4. I think he's got like a sub-2 ERA in the second half or something. Like, his last, 23 appearances, he is not allowed to run.
What he did a year ago as well, right?
Yeah, and Saturday was a back-to-back outing for him. So he pitched Friday in that blowout, and then he pitched Saturday, and didn't allow a run either day. Actually, believe it or not, he's pitched, I don't know, reliever WAR is not anything you should be looking at for the most part, truthfully. But if you want to look at reliever WAR, Sam actually has is 1 win above replacement this year per Fangraphs. He was, and that's through 52 outings this season. Last year in 57 outings, he was 1 F4. So take that for what you will. But I think he's had a great season after that rough start. So feel good about him. Yeah, the bullpen did its job Saturday night. Ronaldo Lopez came in. By the way, if you have not had a chance to figure this out, Ronaldo Lopez comes out of the bullpen to the Halloween theme song. I gotta say, as a reliever, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I was there for really good.
Yeah, I was there for that game. That's one of the top reliever entrances for a guy who's not a closer. That's a pretty top reliever entrance. Like, I don't know what if I was a major league reliever, what I would use as my entrance, and maybe you can comment below and tell us what you would use. But I kind of think Halloween is up there all time. But no, it was a fun weekend. I mean, like I said, the pitching was good. Tanner pitched good. Gavin was great. Gavin. His overall stat line didn't look like more impressive than it has this season because he's had really good starts. But
pretty solid all in all.
He was. But the fun thing to look at for him today was his distribution of pitches, or at least in terms of swings and miss. Like, he got 4 whiffs on the fastball, and he was actually down. He was 92, 95 today, 96, which is down a little bit for him right now. But he got 5 swings and misses on his slider, and he got 4 on his curveball. So the fact that he's getting guys to bite on his secondary stuff, that's what you want to see. So especially this velocity down, I thought that was a really good sign. But overall, yeah, this was, Sunday looked like a reversal of 2022. They scored 5 runs in an inning. They sent 9 guys to the plate. By the way, I don't know if you saw it. I love this. The Guardians got 7 straight hits in that inning. They scored 5 runs or whatever it was, and it was nobody out. And Cam Gallagher comes up trying to sack bunt. And I'm like, I'm looking at this, and he wasn't getting any good calls at the plate. Like, the umpire was kind of stretching the zone against him. I'm like, you know what? For once, I don't mind the umpire doing this, because if I'm an umpire and I see a team go out there and give up 7 straight hits to a team, and you're going up there sack bunting, yeah, I'm gonna mess with your strike zone. That's so silly. Like, can we just be done with that experiment now?
No, sadly, we know we're not going to be done with that experiment because Tito was very happy to have him there, and we're going to be stuck watching him. We should take, yeah. Well, I'm going to enjoy baseball. I got baseball. We should take our first break in the action, come back, spend a little bit more time on some of the pitching and on some health. I got a headache right now. Not gonna lie to you, people. Sinus. These weather changes as we get. I love fall. I'm a fall person, but boy, does my sinus cavity just turn into the worst thing possible. And that's why I'm looking forward to getting my Jase case from Jase Medical, so I can get some antibiotics to help me deal with that without having to go to the doctor and pay my copay and deal with all of that just to get what I already know I need. Jase is going to give the power in your hand to take care of situations like what I'm describing right now, the never ending. Feel like, hey, go get surgery. I've had 2. That hasn't helped. So I need Jase to hurry up and get me my Jase case to take care of things like my sinus problem. And if you are someone who would like to check out Jase, you can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional 20 off by using code LOCKEDON at checkout at jasemedical.com. That's JASEM medical.com.
So Monday, the Guardians will be playing the Royals, and it's actually going to be a 2:10 start time Eastern, 1:10 Central. I guess the word is that Beyonce was supposed to have a concert in Kansas City that night, so they moved the Royals game to the afternoon, but she's no longer having her concert, but the game is staying at 2:10 Eastern. So if you're going to listen to the game while you work, I know I will be. Don't tell my boss. You can listen to the game on your Sirius XM app. Just search Guardians on the app. That is Cal Quantrill and Brady Singer. So that should be fun.
I want to say thank you to everydayer Justin Spoth, who just found out about him.
Oh. And I'm listening to the game while I'm working. Darn. Hey, my work's always in.
I got my last 2 periods of the day are my planning right now. It moves around day to day, depending on student need. But for Mondays, it's the end of the day. So I might get to sit there and work on some paperwork and actually check these 2 games. So
that's good because I'll be busy Monday.
Yeah, you got to go hang out with Joe Jonas. You're helping him feel better, right? You're gonna
yes, I am Joe Jonas's official counselor on Monday
for the Cleveland leg of this tour. You're gonna be helping him.
That's why that's why this game is at 2:10 Eastern, so I could watch the game and not have to miss it at the Jonas Brothers concert. That's why it's at 2:10 actually.
So if you didn't know, tomorrow will be me hosting this show solo. So if you do have thoughts or ideas, make sure to comment below. If you want me to dig in anything historical, anything prospect-wise, anything that we wouldn't maybe.
I can live stream from the concert if you'd like. I can live stream. That might get us in some.
I feel like that might get us knocked off of Twitter, YouTube. I feel like that's one of those things we would get knocked off of YouTube for. Can I just go ahead and throw out my snarky tweet earlier today that when the Cleveland Guardians hired Eric Wedge on October 29th, 2002. They have now had 3 managers since 2002. Think about it. That's kind of amazing, which I threw out in response to the Columbus Blue Jackets having 3, full-time head coaches in a 6-month period. Man, what is it about Cleveland? It's kind of a chicken and the egg situation in general when it comes to managers, where it's this idea that, like, listen, a good manager stays longer. So you get these, a team plays well, team plays poorly. It's not going to happen. But man, at the same time, I think consistency matters. As long as someone's halfway passable, I think you're best staying with that.
I'm sure we'll talk about that as we get more news on Tito. Let us know if you listened to Friday's episode about our managerial choices. Let us know if you have any feedback. I would love to kind of review people's suggestions. I agree with you. A couple of commenters say that, yeah, I don't want to hire a 90s player as a manager, which I totally agree with, to be honest with you, because I feel like a lot of people who are throwing up Sandy Alomar or Jim Thome or whoever.
Worked? Like, where's the
I don't know. I mean, Eddie Murray was the hitting coach in 2005, and he was reportedly awful, but I could have seen that coming because he was kind of a, well, I don't know. He came up with a different era of players, the media, but
cantankerous.
That was what he was described by media, but I think it was a different era, so I don't want to judge him too much for that. But there were definitely some issues there. But anybody who wants to say I want to hire someone from the 90s, I think you're just looking for, you equate success with that success to everything. You're not hiring a manager because he played well in his career. If that was the case, then Barry Bonds would have been a great hitting coach. It's just for headlines and to feel good. And I would hate that more. Like, I know Alomar had his own issues the one year, and I like Thome a lot. If one of those guys came in and became the manager and things went so poorly, I would hate to see that they're standing in Cleveland as people be ruined by a poor managerial tenure, because those guys, I mean, Alomar had a big part in this in Cleveland even though he was hurt. And, Tommy had a big part in this in Cleveland. And if they had a poor managerial stint, I would feel bad about their long-term reputation. So I just think it's a bad idea in general. Rotation. So we talked about how good Giolito was this weekend. Tanner was really good. Update on Tanner is that the MRI should have came back clean. It looks like it came back clean. Everything was good. Sounds like he thinks that he'll make his next start. I don't know if that's true or not. He's not going on the Kansas City trip, which is fine because he's not pitching in Kansas City. His next start is scheduled for Thursday against the Orioles, which if he makes that start, I'd love to talk Wednesday night about Tanner Bibee versus Gunnar Henderson, because that's possibly your 1-2 in the Rookie of the Year standings right there. They'll get the face off on Thursday if Tanner makes that start. So I hope he does. It sounds like he's going to be okay for the most part anyway. But you've got the three rookie starters. You've got Giolito, who just pitched well. You've got Cal Quantrill, who's been very good since he came off the injured list the second time. And Shane Bieber is going to come back Friday, supposedly. He pitched today for Columbus on Sunday. Pitched pretty well, 7 strikeouts in 3 2/3. He walked a couple. Even got to use the automated ball strike system challenge. You got a call reversed in his way. So good for him to get used to that, I suppose. And Triston McKenzie is going to start Tuesday for Columbus. If that all goes well, he'll probably start Sunday for Cleveland. So are we doing – I think we're probably – I don't know. Are we doing a 7-man rotation until the last week? It's 1 week. It's 1 week to go. It's like, and there's 2 off days the next week. So it gets very weird. This is a good excuse for them to shut the rookies down, especially with Bibee's hip injury, even though he says he's going to be okay or supposedly going to be okay. I would let the rookies go out there. I mean, you got 2 off days next week. What about piggybacking? What about McKenzie or Bieber for like 4 or 5 innings and letting one of the rookies go behind them for 4 innings?
No, that's what I was going to say. I don't think it's 7-man roto as much as essentially it's got to be piggybacking, because most of these guys aren't going to go deep. I think we all know that. So it's, especially with some of those rookies here, like you get, 3 innings from either Bieber or 3 innings, 3 or 4 from Bieber, 3 or 4 from Bibee, line them up, call it a day. If it's a safe situation, you pitch Class A because his arm's going to fall off anyways. If not, you can go pull someone else out. The only downside is if you hit extra innings, you're screwed. You just don't have that depth to be able to handle it. Otherwise, I think.
Yeah, because who goes down? Who gets sent down? If you bring back Bieber McKenzie and you say, okay, we're sticking with the 5 starters, you've got to send 2 pitchers down because you're already at the max. So which 2 pitchers are you giving the axe to for the last week of the season?
I mean, Sandlin has so many options. It's tempting, but then you're kind of weirdly burning one when it doesn't matter.
Right.
So that's also kind of weird. Like, in a way, he has more trade value if you hold on to that option, just because teams have more flexibility with him.
But he's a middle reliever who's pitched he's had injury issues. And
so I think it's Morgan and Sandlin. I think if you're not going to send down or put one of these young guys on the send them down for the end of the year, then I think you have to send. It is very clear to me, at least right now, that those are the 2 poor arms. Now, the big question isn't so much like that. It's who's getting cut.
60-man. Yeah, the 40-man.
You gotta subtract 2 guys. I think one of them is going to be 99, honestly. They're not.
Michael Kelly is still out there. I imagine Michael Kelly will be one of them.
I think the other one's 99. Because they're not.
I agree.
They're not going to pay him, and if they're not bothering to bring him up, how they have kind of just pretended he doesn't exist anymore, they're not going to offer him arbitration. So designate him for assignment now and see if anyone else claims him, and save yourself $10,000, I guess, on his contract from the last week left. But I don't think he's not with this team in a year. So if you're going to call up 2 arms, and then. We won't get into it now. We'll get into this at some point later in the offseason. But the nice thing about adding those 2 guys now is it's going to force them to make some roster decisions that mean that when the season ends, you got the 3 waiver claims are all going to be off the roster, plus Calhoun, plus Gallagher. That's 5 open spots. There's about 2, maybe 3 must adds, and we can debate after that. But they finally, for once, it's not really a ton of pressure. And I know a lot of people, it's always funny in the comments. I don't mean this as an insult to anyone who says, like, we have to add Diane Frias. We have to add, Wilfredo Antunes. You have to add Mike Collado. every team has about half a dozen guys like that fans think you have to add that are about that same level. And it's only because we're focused on this team. We don't see it with others. But I know we have even more to talk about, but got to keep those bills a paying. The train wheels are rolling. We should take our break here.
Well, I told you already, you probably should bet Jose Ramirez next year on his birthday to hit a home run. But the playoffs are around the corner, which means the clock is ticking for your chance to times 100 your money on cash on daily fantasy baseball. Never more exciting. You got Acuna, you've got Betts. They don't have Ohtani anymore. He's not playing the rest of the season, so you can't do that.
Dunzo.
Yeah, but what you can do with those other guys before the playoffs is pick more or less on those stats for all those stars on home runs, hits, strikeouts. For up to 100 times payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you can win big. Bet Kole Calhoun to maybe celebrate a little more as he gets his 10-year thing. If Ramon Laureano is in the lineup against a left-hander, he's been crushing them lately. Maybe bet the over on him for an extra base hit. Use promo code LOCKEDON. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And check out Sleeper, one of the number one fantasy apps out there, daily fantasy apps. $2:10 Eastern, 1:10 Central. I think it's noon Hawaii time, 11 a.m. Hawaii time. I don't know. But wherever you are, make sure you listen to the Guardians game on Sirius XM app. Just search Guardians. I was up late the other night, too. I was thinking about different time zones for matchups because I was watching Colorado and Colorado State because, I was interested in what was going on there. And I was like, man, the West Coast finally gets to has one pay off if the game starts West Coast time. I don't love it.
I was asleep, except for the point where then I mentioned off air we had an unfortunate incident with trying to adopt a cat, and my wife had to check out and go get some things taken care of. We're still in one cat household, unfortunately. But I got woken up as that game was going on. And I was like, wow, it looks like Colorado's going to lose. And then I fell asleep and then I woke up and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But this isn't locked on any football thing. So should we keep pushing through?
Well, I was going to ask you. So we talked about Lucas Giolito having one very miserable start and then a good one and then a really good one. The really good one came against the Rangers lineup that had just beaten up the Blue Jays the week before, who the Blue Jays have pitched very well this year. So, you've talked about because the pitching market is going to be so thin this offseason that I think it's Aaron Nola, Lucas Giolito, and Shohei Ohtani are kind of like the big names. And obviously Shohei Ohtani. Is Blake Snell free agent? Okay, so there's a few more big names, I guess. But that's about it, right? And Ohtani can't pitch next year, more than likely. So there's 3 guys on the market this offseason. Not everyone needs pitching. Are you at least interested in seeing what it would take to bring Giolito back next year? Because if you do that, you need depth. Obviously, look how many starters the Guardians have had to use this year, right? You've had to use Hunter Gaddis. Plesac is off the roster now, but you had to use him. You had to use Tuki Toussaint at one time. Daniel Norris has been up multiple times. And your depth going into next year is essentially Cantillo, Gaddis, Morris, who I have some thoughts on Cody Morris for a future episode. I'm getting some different opinions on Cody Morris at this point. Things are not going well. And, you got your 3 rookies, and you've got 2 guys coming off of elbow issues, which you never know what's going to happen there, right? Do you go into the offseason at least having a conversation with Lucas Giolito about coming back next year? Because I just said you need the depth. Look at who you had to start this year. And B, if you do decide to give Lucas Giolito maybe a 1-year deal, although the market might be so strong that he may not get a 1-year deal, gives you the flexibility, maybe explore a Shane Bieber trade.
You said it right there. They can't afford to sign him. Look at what Kyle Gibson has been, barely a 5th starter for most of his career, and he got a multi-year contract. It's going to take a multi-year contract for a guy like Giolito who's had the peaks, and especially if he kind of closes well and he might get like a Cleveland effect bounce for him as well, that, oh, hey, he's pitching well. He went to Cleveland. They probably help straighten him out. I just don't think there's a world where they can afford him he's going to cost more than, he's out of their price range. I just don't think it's possible. I think, especially, again, he's probably going to be one of the top 5 free agent starters. And what we have seen in the past 2 years is free agent starters go quick. And the upside to him is, let's see, I think Blake Snell can be offered arbitration. So there is that, though we have seen that not be as limiting of late.
You mean the qualifying offer?
Yeah, the qualifying offer.
Yeah, Giolito, no qualifying offer is available.
And Nola can have qualifying offer, and qualifying offer will be on Ohtani. Plus, he can't pitch next year. Let's be honest. He's not going to be pitching next year. So I just think, for the same reason that I also think that Shane Bieber is going to have trade value, and I think you can consider trading him. I don't think you have to add someone, because you're counting on the rookies in your rotation. Quantrell is looking solid. That gives you 4. You got McKenzie as a 5. Now, yes, depth is an issue. You're hoping Cantillo. You're hoping Espino. You're hoping that someone can continue moving up the system, even if it's not Cody Morris. But I think we've also seen them kind of get by with guys who are fringy. They might have someone out there that they like, that they can, work with and find more out of. I don't think this is a team with their other needs. If they have the money to spend, you can't go for top of the market in pitching. You need to go out and go mid-market outfielder. And I know that means one of our everydayers, Hiram's going to come at me and tell me again why this team doesn't need an outfielder. And I'm going to say, have you seen this outfield?
They have three Hall of Famers in AAA right now in the outfield. Okay, they have 3 Hall of Famers playing the outfield.
They got two backups and a guy who's mid is the current outfield. So I'm not sold on anything with them right now. But I don't think again it's the same thing we talked about with the bullpen. I don't believe in spending money on the pitching. I think they have enough in places. Heck, make Eli Morgan a 5th starter again. Or not a 5th, but your depth guy. I think that if they have money to spend, you have to go bat. You can't go arm.
That's what I was going to.
Too expensive.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think as much as it'd be nice to have him back and have that depth and the flexibility, I think you're right. I think because the market is going to be so thin that he's going to command so much, even though he's had a very trying year, they just can't afford to spend the money it's going to take to sign a guy like Giolito when they have other needs to fill. And do you know the last free agent starter the Guardians signed for a major league contract? And do you know the last, I guess Daniel Norris is technically the last free agent starter to start for them. But okay, do you know the last major league contract they signed intentionally? A pitcher too that started a game for them. It's not good.
It's like Scott Kazmir was a free agent, was in a minor, was an invite because
he was a minor league. Who was the last major league contract they gave out to a starting pitcher?
I feel like it was
not.
I feel like you're probably talking more than 15 years ago.
You were talking exactly 10 years ago, and you were talking Brett Myers.
Oof. That went so well.
Everybody regretted that one. Everybody. Nobody. Yeah. I have a story.
Another guy who wouldn't get a job anymore with all the other things that were around him. Like that is another guy that's like, talk about a different era.
I was doing some work for a radio station at that time in Cleveland, and I did an interview with Brett Myers, and I'm going to choose to not divulge the interaction on air because it was not great. Real quickly before we get out of here, I had an interesting debate with one of my buddies over the weekend about minor league and the winning. So none of the Guardians minor league teams are making the playoffs this year. Their season ends next week.
Fire everyone.
Fire everyone. Yeah. Look, the 2010 captains, I saw them win the championship. Roberto Perez and Tyler Holt were the only major leaguers on the team. To me, winning in the minors is secondary. I know people are going to be up in arms about that take, but that is kind of true.
It's gravy. That's all it is. It's a nice bonus. I think it has some worthwhileness. But I mean, even having been around teams that have won it all, players aren't taking it super serial. Like they enjoy celebrating, they enjoy winning. But I mean, the minor league game, you don't see a lot of guys in general getting super pissed about the way things turn out. But
we'll have more on that tomorrow. Yeah,
we want to say thank you to all of our everydayers. Shout out to Andrew at the top of the show, my former co-host. I think it's John. Who commented and supplied some info for the show as well today. I'm bad with names, but it's the start tag. Let's do the end tag. But thank you all. We appreciate you on a Monday morning after a big Cleveland Guardians sweep. Thank you, and go Guardians, go.